Think that bag of rice sitting in your pantry is safe? Think again. A shocking 2025 investigation tested 145 rice products from stores across America. The results? Every single sample contained arsenic. 1 in 4 exceeded the FDA's safety limit for infant food. And it gets worse. Cadmium was found in all but one sample. Lead and mercury were detected in more than a third. These aren't trace amounts we're talking about. These are toxic heavy metals that accumulate in your body over decades. The health effects are devastating. We're talking about cancer, IQ loss in children, brain damage during pregnancy, and the FDA has set no limits whatsoever for arsenic in regular rice. Today I'm counting down the 8 rice brands you need to avoid immediately. I'll show you exactly which products tested highest for contamination, and which companies are facing class action lawsuits. And at the end, I'll reveal which rice types are actually safer, plus simple cooking tricks that can reduce arsenic by 60%. If you eat rice regularly or feed it to children, this might be the most important video you watch this year. Let's get into it. Number 8, Trader Joe's rice. Starting our countdown at number 8 is Trader Joe's. Yes, the beloved grocery chain that markets itself as a healthier alternative to traditional supermarkets. Their rice products were included in the 2025 Healthy Babies Bright Futures investigation that tested 145 rice samples from 105 different brands across America. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Trader Joe's rice products are no safer than any other brand. The researchers found that brand name means nothing when it comes to arsenic contamination. What matters is the type of rice and where it was grown. Trader Joe's sources rice from multiple regions, including the southern United States, where contamination levels are highest in the world. Rice grown in Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi contains nearly double the arsenic of rice from California or Asia. Why? Because those southern states used to grow cotton. For decades, farmers dumped 30,000 tons of arsenic-based pesticides onto those fields to control the boll weevil. That arsenic never left the soil. Now rice paddies sit on those same contaminated fields, soaking up poison that was applied over a century ago. The tragedy is that Trader Joe's customers think they're making healthier choices. They trust the brand. They pay premium prices. But they're getting rice with the same contamination levels as budget options. Trader Joe's does not publicly disclose arsenic testing results for their rice products. They don't label the country of origin on all packages. Consumers have no way to know if they're buying high arsenic southern rice or lower arsenic California or imported varieties. The lesson? Don't trust marketing. Don't assume expensive means safe. Always check where your rice actually comes from. Number 7. Whole Foods 365 brand. At number 7, we have Whole Foods 365 everyday value rice. And this one is particularly disturbing. Whole Foods built an empire on the promise of healthier, more natural food. Their 365 house brand is positioned as an affordable organic option for health-conscious shoppers. But when Consumer Reports tested rice brands, their 365 everyday value long grain, brown rice scored the worst of all brands tested. Let me repeat that. The grocery store famous for health food had the highest arsenic levels of any brand in the study. Their brown rice tested 1/3 higher than competitors like Uncle Ben's and Great Value. It exceeded the national average for arsenic contamination. The 2025 Healthy Babies Bright Futures report confirmed that 365 Whole Foods Market rice products continue to contain concerning levels of heavy metals. Their testing found 195 parts per billion of arsenic in 365 brown rice, making it one of the worst performers. That's nearly double the FDA limit of 100 parts per billion set for infant rice cereal. If you made baby food from this rice, it would be considered too dangerous to sell in stores. Making matters worse, a class action lawsuit was filed against Amazon, which owns Whole Foods, alleging they sold rice products with dangerous levels of heavy metals without warning consumers. The lawsuit specifically names 365 Whole Foods Market brand rice. Independent testing for the lawsuit found inorganic arsenic concentrations as high as 169 parts per billion in rice products sold through Amazon, including their own house brands. That's 69% above the FDA's safety limit for infant food. Whole Foods was acquired by Amazon for $13.7 billion in 2017. This is a trillion-dollar corporation selling rice that tests among the most contaminated in America while marketing it as a healthier choice. The irony is painful. Customers pay premium prices at Whole Foods specifically to avoid toxins. Instead, they may be getting higher contamination than shoppers at budget stores. Number 6. Amazon Happy Belly Rice. Coming in at number 6 is Amazon's Happy Belly Rice brand. Amazon doesn't just own Whole Foods, they also sell their own Amazon Basics and Happy Belly branded rice products directly on their platform. And these products are now at the center of major legal action. In May 2025, plaintiffs filed a class action lawsuit against Amazon in federal court in Seattle. The lawsuit alleges Amazon sold rice contaminated with arsenic cadmium lead and mercury without disclosing the risks to consumers. The case names 17 different rice products sold through Amazon. According to the lawsuit, independent testing commissioned by Healthy Babies Bright Futures found heavy metals in every rice product tested from Amazon. Some samples contained arsenic levels as high as 149 parts per billion. That's nearly 15 times higher than the EPA's limit of 10 parts per billion for drinking water. The lawsuit makes serious accusations. It claims Amazon either failed to test these products for heavy metals or chose not to disclose the results despite having full control over the sale, marketing, and presentation of their products. Here's what makes this especially troubling. The products at issue include rice marketed to families with children. These are the exact people most vulnerable to heavy metal contamination. Children consume 2 to 3 times more rice per body weight than adults. Their developing brains are especially susceptible to damage. Amazon's response? In July 2025, they filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. They argued the presence of heavy metals in rice is a decades-old well-known issue that was easy to discover. They also claimed protection under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which shields online platforms from liability. In other words, Amazon's defense is essentially, everyone knows rice has arsenic, so they shouldn't have to warn you. The lawsuit continues moving forward with an amended complaint filed in August 2025, containing new evidence from independent testing. Number 5. Walmart Great Value Rice. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Walmart's Great Value brand. Great Value is America's largest private label brand. It's sold in over 4,700 Walmart stores across the country. Millions of families rely on it for affordable groceries, including rice. Consumer Reports testing found Great Value rice contains arsenic levels comparable to the national average for contaminated rice. Their products showed readings similar to Uncle Ben's and other major brands at around 150 to 160 parts per billion total arsenic. But here's what makes Great Value particularly concerning. Walmart targets budget-conscious families. These are often families with young children who eat more rice relative to their body weight than any other age group. They're also families who may not be able to afford lower arsenic alternatives like imported basmati or California-grown rice. The FDA estimates rice contributes 55% of infant arsenic exposure from solid foods. For the families shopping at Walmart's budget prices, rice might be a daily staple, not an occasional side dish. Great Value rice is typically sourced from the southern United States. Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, and Missouri produce the majority of American rice. As we discussed, this region has the highest arsenic contamination due to historic pesticide use on cotton fields. Walmart is the largest company in the world by revenue. They generated $648 billion in 2024. They have the resources to test every batch of rice for heavy metals. They could clearly label the region of origin on every package. They could source from lower contamination regions. Instead, families on tight budgets continue purchasing rice that may expose their children to unnecessary health risks. The people who can least afford healthcare costs are the ones most likely to be harmed. Number 4. Mahatma and Carolina Rice. At number 4, we have Mahatma and Carolina Rice, the flagship brands of Riviana Foods. Riviana is the largest rice company in America. They're a subsidiary of Ebro Foods, a Spanish food conglomerate that's the global leader in rice production. Combined revenue exceeds $1.5 billion. Mahatma has been sold in America since 1932. Carolina Rice since 1927. These are brands your grandparents probably used. They're found in supermarkets coast to coast. In July 2025, a class action lawsuit was filed against Riviana Foods alleging their Mahatma brand Whole grain rice contains dangerous levels of arsenic and cadmium without adequate warning to consumers. According to the lawsuit, independent testing found Mahatma brown rice contained 317 parts per billion of arsenic. Let me put that in perspective. The FDA's action level for infant rice cereal is 100 parts per billion. This product tested at more than 3 times that limit. The testing also found 11.6 parts per billion of cadmium in the product. Cadmium is a known carcinogen linked to kidney disease, bone loss, and cardiovascular problems. FDA scientists estimate more than 12 million children ages 1 to 6 are exposed to cadmium in food at levels exceeding safety standards. Riviana sources most of their rice from Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Texas. These are the exact states with the highest arsenic contamination in America. Their rice comes from fields that once grew cotton and were treated with arsenic-based pesticides for decades. The lawsuit accuses Riviana of advertising their rice as wholesome, healthy, and America's favorite while failing to warn consumers about toxic heavy metals. They market their product to health-conscious shoppers without disclosing the potential risks. This is a billion-dollar corporation owned by a multinational food giant. They have access to testing facilities and sourcing options around the world. Yet their flagship products test among the most contaminated available. Number 3, store-brand cinnamon rice mixes. At number 3, we have store-brand rice mixes, particularly those containing cinnamon. Wait, cinnamon? Yes, this entry is about a contamination crisis that extends far beyond just rice itself. In October 2023, the FDA investigated Wanabana fruit puree pouches containing cinnamon after children in North Carolina developed elevated blood lead levels. What they discovered was horrifying. The cinnamon in these products contained lead at 2,270 to 5,110 parts per million. That's 2,555 times higher than the industry guideline of 2 parts per million. The contamination wasn't accidental. Investigators found evidence of economically motivated adulteration. Someone deliberately added lead chromate to the cinnamon to make it appear brighter and weigh more. By March 2024, the CDC reported 519 cases of food poisoning across 44 states, plus Washington, D.C., and Puerto Rico. The median age of victims was approximately 2 years old. Toddlers were being poisoned by products marketed as organic, additive-free, and kosher. The FDA has since issued public health alerts for cinnamon products from 18 different distributors, including brands sold at Dollar Tree and discount stores. Many of these contaminated cinnamon products end up in store-brand rice, mixes yellow rice and seasoned rice products. One product tested by Healthy Babies Bright Futures showed the extent of this problem. Dixie Lily's parboiled yellow rice with saffron contained lead levels of 36 parts per billion. That's 32 times higher than the average lead content in other rice samples. Both samples tested came from different production lots, months apart, suggesting an ongoing contamination issue. Spices like saffron and cinnamon used in flavored rice products can be sources of additional heavy metal contamination beyond what's already in the rice itself. The FDA has identified 24 spice companies from 11 countries on import alerts for lead contamination. If you buy seasoned rice mixes, especially from discount stores, you could be getting a double dose of toxins. Arsenic from the rice, plus lead from the spices. Number 2, Ben's Original Rice. Coming in at number 2 is Ben's Original, formerly known as Uncle Ben's. This is one of the most recognizable rice brands in America. The company changed its name in 2020 after acknowledging the original branding perpetuated racial stereotypes. But they haven't changed where their rice comes from. Ben's Original is owned by Mars Incorporated, one of the largest privately held companies in the world. Mars also owns M&M's, Snickers Pedigree, and dozens of other brands. Their annual revenue exceeds $50 billion. Ben's Original rice is grown in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas. These are the states with the highest arsenic contamination anywhere on the planet. Research shows rice from this region contains nearly double the arsenic of California rice and up to 6 times more than rice from Egypt or India. Why is southern U.S. rice so contaminated? The history is damning. For over a century, farmers in the Cotton Belt used arsenic-based pesticides to control the boll weevil beetle. The poison accumulated in the soil, When cotton farming declined, much of that land was converted to rice paddies. Here's the truly insane part. When rice was first planted on these contaminated soils, the crops failed from arsenic poisoning. So agricultural scientists developed arsenic-resistant rice varieties that could survive in toxic soil. The plants absorb the arsenic but don't die from it. Instead, the poison concentrates in the grain that ends up on your plate. Consumer Reports testing found Ben's original rice contained arsenic levels comparable to the highest in the southern region at around 200 parts per billion total arsenic. Ben's original products were included in the 2025 Healthy Babies Bright Futures investigation that found arsenic in 100% of rice tested. The CBS News report specifically named Ben's alongside Trader Joe's and Goya as brands included in the contaminated samples. Mars Incorporated has the resources to source rice from anywhere in the world. They could use California rice. They could import from India or Thailand. Instead, they continue selling rice from America's most contaminated farmland. Number 1, generic unbranded rice. And the number 1 rice product you must avoid is generic unbranded rice, especially bulk rice sold at discount stores, international markets, and warehouse clubs. Here's why this tops our list. When you buy major brands, at least there's a company you can hold accountable. They have reputations to protect. They face lawsuits when products cause harm. They have quality control systems even if those systems are inadequate. But generic rice? Often there's no traceability whatsoever. You don't know where it was grown. You don't know who processed it. You don't know if anyone ever tested it for heavy metals. The 2025 Healthy Babies Bright Futures report found the widest variation in contamination levels came from generic and store-brand products. Some samples tested relatively low. Others tested off the charts. One sample of generic brown rice from a discount store tested at over 240 parts per billion total heavy metals. That's more than double the FDA's limit for infant food. Another sample tested at 201 parts per billion arsenic alone. Generic rice is often sourced from wherever is cheapest. That usually means the southern United States, where contamination is highest. Or it means international sources with minimal oversight where adulteration is common. Remember the cinnamon scandal? Products marketed at Dollar Tree as healthy options turned out to contain industrial-grade lead. The same risks exist for cheap rice products. Bulk rice sold at international markets can be especially risky. Some countries have no regulations for arsenic in rice. Products that would be banned in the EU flow freely into American stores. The families most likely to buy generic rice are often the same families most at risk: low-income households with children. Immigrant families for whom rice is a cultural staple eaten multiple times daily. These communities face the highest exposure with the least information about the risks. How to protect yourself? Now that you know which products to avoid, let me share how to reduce your risk dramatically. First, choose your rice wisely. Not all rice is equally contaminated. California-grown rice, including sushi rice and Calrose varieties, tested lowest in heavy metals at around 65 parts per billion. Thai jasmine rice and Indian basmati also test consistently lower than U.S. southern rice. Look for labels that specify California grown or show origin from Thailand or India. Avoid rice labeled simply grown in USA, which usually means the contaminated South Central states. Second, change how you cook. Here's a game changer. Cooking rice like pasta can remove up to 60% of arsenic. Use 6 to 10 cups of water per cup of rice. Boil the rice and drain the excess water before serving. Pre-soaking rice for 30 minutes or overnight, and then draining before cooking can remove even more arsenic. Rinsing alone doesn't work well enough, but soaking, plus draining makes a real difference. Third, diversify your grains. The Healthy Babies. Bright Futures study tested alternative grains like quinoa, barley, couscous, and farro. These contained 69% less total heavy metals than rice on average. They had 28 times less arsenic than rice. Consider serving quinoa or farro as side dishes instead of rice. Use barley in soups. Try couscous with stews. Every meal without rice reduces your cumulative exposure. Fourth, be especially careful with children. If you have infants or toddlers, avoid rice cereal entirely. Use oat barley or multigrain infant cereals instead. At least 5 states have removed rice cereal from their WIC food assistance programs due to contamination concerns. Children consume 2 to 3 times more rice per body weight than adults. Their developing brains are far more vulnerable to heavy metal damage. What seems like a small amount of contamination can have lifelong consequences. Fifth, avoid processed rice products. Rice cakes, rice crackers, rice-based snacks and foods sweetened with brown rice syrup often contain concentrated arsenic that can't be washed away. The processing actually increases certain toxic forms of arsenic. Instant rice and ready-to-heat rice products may carry additional risks. High heat processing can create DMMT, a form of arsenic that may be 3 times more toxic than standard inorganic arsenic. The rice industry doesn't want you to know any of this. The USA Rice Federation continues claiming there's no public health safety issue. They've been saying this for over 25 years while arsenic levels have remained unchanged. But the science is clear. Arsenic causes cancer. It damages developing brains. It contributes to heart disease and diabetes. And there is no safe level of exposure. The FDA has set a limit of 100 parts per billion for infant rice cereal, but has set no limit whatsoever for the rice that families eat every day. More than 1 in 4 rice products on store shelves exceed that infant food limit right now. You deserve to know what's in your food. Your children deserve protection. And the companies selling contaminated rice deserve to be held accountable. If this video helped you, please share it with friends and family who eat rice. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming investigations into other foods hiding dangerous secrets. Stay aware, stay sharp, and protect your plate.